Hey folks, Jeff Susich here. I thought I'd do a little video of something that in the Winter 25 release went GA, general availability, because it's very useful. It's called the action button. So this is available on screen flows. And basically it allows a flow to keep the users on one screen. So let's take an example where we're going to present a screen to the user. We're going to interview them. They're going to put some input into the screen and we're going to go do a get records based on what they did. That's two screens. There's a screen for interviewing the user. Then we do a get records element. Then we would also have another screen on there to display the results. This gets around that. This is very useful for cloning or displaying related records. So you could have a screen flow where you're going to have them click a button. It's going to find all the open opportunities on an account. You're going to have them click a button on the same screen. It's going to find all the open cases on that account. And you may have another button where it's going to find all the contacts on that. So it's very potentially useful. It's used in conjunction with an auto-launched flow. So the auto-launched flow is doing the work. The auto-launched flow will be the one that's going out and getting the records. It's doing what in a traditional screen flow is a get records element. We're using an auto-launched flow for that. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so here's our business requirement. The users have asked for a screen flow in which they can look up an account and then they can see all the open opportunities on that account. And we're going to use an action button for this. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to create an auto-launched flow. Recall from that slide that we looked at, the auto-launched flow is going to be doing the actual work. It's doing the get records, in this case, open opportunities. So I'll go ahead and create on that. And the first thing we need to do here is we need that record ID variable because we've got to pass that from the screen flow that will call this auto-launched flow. So I'll go here, I'll create a new resource, and I'll go variable, and I'll give it record ID. This is a standard notation here. It has to be the same as this. We have to check this also on here as text, and we have to check it available for input. This is coming from the screen flow that will call this auto-launch flow. Now, the reason I'm doing this flow like this is there are some quirks here. Yes, it's general availability, but there's some things in here that get a little bit confusing. So I thought I'd do one just from the very beginning and take it all the way through. So we've got our record ID variable here that will be the record ID of the account that the users pick in the initial screen. So I'll select done here. All right, so now I need a resource to store all these open opportunities that this thing is going to find. So we're going to select new resource again. We're going to select variable. API name, I'm going to call this var for variable. Store opportunities. The data type is going to be record. It's going to be a series of records. The object here, got to go allow multiple values on this because there could be many in here that we're going to be dealing with. The object in this case will be the opportunity object. And in this case now, we have to select available for output. This is the auto-launch flow that's going to do the work. Well, it's going to find the open opportunities, but it's got to send it back to that initial screen. We're working off one screen here. So we'll select done at that point. All right, so now we're going to do a get records. Let's hit the plus. Let's go do a get records. And we'll call this one get open ops. Won't worry about a description right now. This is going to be the opportunity object. Okay, what are our condition requirements here? Well, the first is we got to tell it the opportunities on which account. Well, it's the one that we had that record ID on. So field is going to be account ID. Operator will be equals, and then click on the value, and we'll select the under variables the record ID. But we need another condition here because we said open opportunities. So we're going to add a condition. We're going to go for is closed equals false. We only want the open opportunities here. Okay, so that's what we got so far here. All right, we're going to scroll down. We're going to go ahead and sort these. I'll sort these in descending order based on the amount. Okay, how many records to store? Well, all the records. There could be a bunch here. Okay, now, here's the first quirk here. Automatically store all fields is not supported yet. We need to choose the third one, the one that you probably haven't used before. Choose fields and assign variables advanced. Really, the only time to ever use this thing, besides here maybe, is when I've already got Apex in this org and I've named the variable and I need consistency between the flow and the Apex named variable. Automatically store all fields is by far the easiest. We have to pick the third one. Choose fields and assign variables advanced. And we're going to pick the variable we created, var store opportunities. Okay? Now notice another quirk here. It's automatically going to save the ID, but look, it put another ID on here. Why? I don't know. It's like a quirk. Let's get rid of that and let's put name on here. And then let's also get the amount field. Okay, we got the name, the amount, and we'll do the close date also. So let's do close date. And that's enough for us right now. Okay, we'll go ahead and save this thing. And we're going to call this action button screen flow. Okay. And save that. Okay. So this is the auto launch flow that's going to do the work of getting the records, the open opportunities. We'll go ahead and activate it so we don't forget that later. And now we're going to create the screen flow that will call this thing. All right, we have the auto launched flow that's going to go and get the open opportunities and store them. Now we're going to do the screen flow to call that thing. So we'll go next, screen flow, create. All right, put a screen element on here. And the label is going to be for this, get chosen account and call action button. Okay, we're going to get a lookup component on here. This will be how they're going to look up the account that they want to use on this. Okay, so the API name here on this can be anything we want. Lookup account. Now the field API name, that can't be anything we want here. Recall that in lookup components, you're telling Salesforce an actual lookup that's in the org. Doesn't matter which one. It's got to be on the right object. I'm going to reference the lookup that's on the contact object that looks up an account. So the label for this thing that I'm going to use on here, I'll just put account on here, on this thing. Okay, the object API name here is the contact. That's the contact object. The field API name on here needs to be the actual field reference. So this is the actual field in the org that I'm referencing here. And this is going to be account ID. That's a reference to the field on the contact object that looks up the account. That's what that is. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here. I think I'll go ahead and just say, hey, you got to put this in here for us to do this. So make it global constant true on here. All right, now let's get an action button here. There's the action button. API name is going to be get open ops. Get open ops. The label, I'm just going to put on here, get open opportunities. Opportunities. Okay, action. This is where we reference the auto launch flow. So I'm going to reference on here the auto launch flow. I called it action button screen flow. There it is. Now you'll notice another little quirk here. It grabbed the label for that. It doesn't grab the API name. If I mouse over this, enter a name for this screen action that's unique within this automation. Yeah, you can. I'm just going to click into this and then go here and let it do it itself. So here's where we got to do some of the variable stuff here. I need to say that that record ID is included. I need that record ID. I'm going to click into here, right here, and under screen components, okay, I've got the lookup. That's the reference to the lookup field. The lookup component. I'm going to click on that and then record ID. So I get lookup account record ID in that. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Open up this, view output resources. This is a hint to you. You don't pick these from here. It's basically a hint. Kind of a confusing hint if you want to look at it that way. Okay, now let's go get a data table because we're going to now display the open opportunities on here. So the whole idea here is I'm on one screen. They look up an account, I click the Get Open Opportunities button, and they're displayed in this data table, all in the same screen. In the background, that auto launch flow that we created is doing the work. It's looking up the actual opportunities. All right, the API name will be Show Open Ops. The label here, we'll get rid of this generic here, Display Open Opportunities. Display Open Ops, and we'll use the label as the table title. Okay, the source collection. Under Screen Actions, you've got this Action Button Screen Flow. Okay, that's that one that we created. And then results, this is the auto launch flow, results, and then what did we store it in the auto launch flow? We stored it in var store opportunities. That's where we stored it. All right, now let's open up configure rows, make sure we got multiple on here. We could do view only if we wanted here. And then let's configure columns so we see some information on what it's going to find. First one in here, I'm just going to go get the name, the opportunity name. And we'll say done on that. I'm going to add another one. Okay, we're going to get the close date next. And we'll get the amount next. And that should do it for us. All right, so we've got our fields that we're going to display on there for that. And then select done. And then select done here. And then save it. And we're going to call this screen flow using action button. And we're going to save it. All right, that's it. Now let's review what's going to happen here. When we run this thing, it's going to call the auto launch flow. The auto launch flow is going to get all of the open opportunities. And it can do that because we're passing in the record ID from this flow into the auto launch flow. The auto launch flow looks at the open opportunities, puts it into a variable, stores it, and then we display it here in a data table. So let's go ahead and hit debug on this and then run. All right, let's go find an account here. I'll get Pyramid Construction. That's one of the accounts in this dev org. And I'll select Get Open Opportunities, and there they are. So we're operating off of one screen here. Now think of some of the things we could do here. I could add a button for open cases. I could add a button for assets. I mean, think about how many objects are related to the account. I could put that all on one screen. I'd have an individual data table for each one of those, but you could do a lot on one screen. That's kind of the magic of this thing. So that's the new, kind of new, action button. Hope you find this useful.